background music. We're trying to like make this like really cool little music piano go in the background, but I ruined it by speaking. Oh, is it? Oh, cool. Bianca, we ready to record and we can get going?
I was already recording.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Well, folks, my name is Dennis Wong, Executive Director for the Asian Business Association. Just want to welcome everybody at taking time and to kind of come on board and kind of share a little bit about their perspective. One thing I learned over the years is that a lot of times we are certainly not the experts, but I think how we can foster a platform from people can learn from each other. With that, I also like to wish everybody a happy 20th day of AAPI Heritage Month. If you don't know AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander, yes, we do have a month to celebrate. So we are doing that all throughout this month as well. We do see a couple of folks on our board. I want to acknowledge Jim Song, one of our board director, and James Shea on this call as well. So thanks for taking the time to come on. And of course, I'll introduce him shortly, but we also like to thank Southern California Edison for your continued support of our programs and what we do. And Michael Herrera he's the program manager for Supplier Diversity and Development, and he'll come on. I'll turn this program to him shortly to kind of lead us through it. As you may or may not heard earlier, that this is a recorded session. If you do not like it, you can either mute yourself or don't say anything, that's fine. But I think this is something that we can record and future use when members come on and they want to use it toward their advantage to learn from each other as well. Obviously, you can do things in the chat box. That chat box is there for you to chat with each other, side message. You can private chat, ask questions. That's available to you. We'll also leave that chat box 10, 15 minutes after the program. So it's a chance to virtual network with one another. So please use that for your networking needs. I just want to give a quick little overview about what ABA has been doing. So ABA has been continuing to work through the virus, as we've been saying since this happened. In terms of advocacy work, we want to let you know that we did advocate for the federal income tax filing beginning before the deadline, April 15th, to push that to July 15th. Very proud that the federal government as well as the state did do that, complying with that as well. We also got ahead of the information for the PPP, as well as the LA microloan, the SBA disaster loan. So I know many of our members did receive funding. We're very proud of that. I think across the country, my last stat was 38% got the funding, and unfortunately, California was only 21.5% who got those type of fundings. But I think our members who are informed, I think we're fortunate to receive a little bit more than the national average. Some of the things we are currently working on regards to the PPP. We're working with the legislation to push the 8-week period to go all the way to the end of the year for you to hire back your employees, and reducing the 75% rule for the payroll. So that's something we're working on. Obviously, you guys know that we've been trying to lead the charge on working remotely. We had videos about video networking, virtual happy hours, and some of you guys participating. Of course, James also helped us with leveraging video marketing that we did and digital marketing as well. Tomorrow, we'll be having a town hall. So if you want to come back tomorrow and join us at the same time, we're doing a town hall with our state controller, Betty Yee, and so how she sees things from a state level. We'll also be hosting a training in how to get business back to operation again. We're doing that at Little Tokyo the week after, Little Tokyo Business Improvement District, I should say. And then we're doing a legislation thing about rules affecting California, such as Prop 13. That's gonna come down the pipeline. We thought it'd be good to inform people about that. A lot of things that we're doing. So I'm gonna turn over quickly. There's a lot. I think it's another excuse for you to say, hey, all things ABA is doing, if you know any people who wants to join, please have them join us as a membership as well. Anyways, a little bit about housekeeping rules. You guys been on this already in terms of what it looks like. Thank you for muting yourself. We want to continue to pivot and educate our members how to do business with each other, right? So in this hour, we will share 3 companies that will share about their companies and what they're doing to work through the virus. I think it's a great way to learn and support one another through this. And to help the program, I would like to introduce Michael Herrera. Now, before you go, Michael, I have a little introduction for you.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
So you guys know who Michael is. I know him, but maybe you don't. First half of his career, I like to say, first half he spent in construction management. He was responsible for projects anywhere from $3 million to $30 million. He transitioned to a regulated industry specialized in IT services with Southern California Gas Company. So background in construction, now IT services. And then after that, he goes, I'm going to do something else. So again, last 5 years, he's been with Southern California Edison, responsible for a lot of the applicable rules, regulation, and public laws that relates to small and diverse business procurement. He leads a charge in supplier diversity for Southern California Edison, a great advocate for ABA, serves on our advisory council, and chairs the coaching and mentoring committee. Michael, the program is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis, and good afternoon, everyone. As Dennis just mentioned, Michael Herrera, Program Manager, Supplier Diversity and Development at Southern California Edison. We are a proud corporate sponsor and partner of ABALA and all of its members. So I want to first thank Dennis, Bianca, the rest of the ABALA team for the opportunity to host today's webinar. I am delighted to be your host. Now, I'm not only here as your host, though, I'm also here as your true advocate for the Asian business community. My role at Southern California Edison has allowed me to directly champion the growth and flourishment of Asian-owned businesses in partnership with community-based organizations like ABALA. It's because of partnerships like this one that last year alone, Southern California Edison was able to achieve an investment of over $256 million specifically with the Asian business community. And it's with that, I like to say happy AAPI Heritage Month. AAPI Heritage Month allows us a whole month to recognize the contributions and influence of Asian Americans. Today, you all will have the opportunity to be informed and inspired by 3 entrepreneurs from right here in the Asian business community who certainly have worked hard and earned the right to be highlighted today. Before I go on to introduce our esteemed entrepreneurs, I'd like to encourage all of you joining us today to, once again, as Dennis mentioned, submit any questions that you may have for our speakers or myself in the chat box right here on the Zoom platform. Also, don't forget to say who you are and what business you're representing so we can give you a little shout out. For those of you who are taking advantage of the recorded version of this webinar, you can also email your questions to info@abala.org and we'll get back to you too. Once again, that's info@abala.org and once again, we'll get back to you. I'd like to now go ahead and introduce today's speakers. Our first esteemed speaker is Kit Wong, founder and CEO of Supplymates. Kit Wong is a first-generation Asian American who grew up in the city of Los Angeles. He graduated from Cal Poly Pomona with the BS in Civil Engineering and has over 10 years of experience in design and construction of Metro Light Rail Transit and owns a systems electrical construction company called KPA Constructors Incorporated and an office supplies company called Supplymates LLC. Quite the busy man. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to join us today, Kit.
Hey, Michael. Hey, hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Our second esteemed speaker is Phoebe Yu, founder and CEO of Ettitude. From Melbourne, Australia, Phoebe was interested in fabric technology. After years of testing materials, Phoebe perfected and launched Ettitude's innovative bamboo lyocell fabric in 2014. By 2018, Ettitude expanded globally, opening a Los Angeles office. In 2019, prior to Ettitude, Phoebe had founded 2 international trading and sourcing companies in Asia. Talk about successful. Thank you for your time today, Phoebe. And don't forget to unmute yourself, speakers, when it is your time to speak and if you want to answer some questions.
Thank you, Michael.
Hi, Phoebe. And our final speaker today is Mr. Stephen Sham, owner of Plaza Printing. Stephen and his wife, Rebecca, has operated their business in Alhambra since 1995. He served on the Alhambra City Council since 2006 and was the first Asian American mayor of the city. Stephen was also recognized as Business Person of the Year by Congressman Judy Chu at the 9th Annual Congressional Leadership Awards ceremony. Quite the feat, Stephen. Welcome to today's engagement.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. So I'd like to start today's discussion with learning a bit more about each of your companies. Let's start with you, Stephen. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and how you got started?
Me first? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Right out of the college, then I started with creative. Well, first of all, I started with banking first for a couple of years and found out that wasn't really what I want, doing mortgages and this and that. Then I ventured into design and doing layout, but then maybe a lot of people don't know the terms of typesetting. Okay, that was a long time ago. So I was doing that for quite some time. Then, especially for Asian markets, but in those days, our AT&T and MCI and Sprint telephone company, Bank of America, JCPenney, I think that's about it. And Colgate is another company. So we do some creative works and writing for them. And it's very competitive. And also we do some CI designs. Then we found out, it's like, I got gray hairs, not bad then, but I imagine because I work too hard, I don't want to get gray hair that soon. So I look at it, the things I want to design, maybe I print it, it will last me a longer time. So my wife and I, we start, actually before 95, we start doing some printing work, brokering work. And 95, we actually moved to the current location in Alhambra. We're celebrating our, 25th years?
Congratulations.
Quarter century already in the same location. So we've been here quite some time, and throughout the years, we have different type of industry. One thing is very interesting is we didn't really have any advertising, whether it's newspaper or anything. It's all word of mouth, and people know us and give us a chance to try us. And because we have the background in terms of graphic design, we'll be able to help our clients a little bit better, help them to touch up a little bit better. Because printing and design are two different things. So you have a design company doing the design work, and then we're doing printing. Since we're kind of like hybrid a little bit, so we can help them, but we don't want to spend that much time for design. Design work is very, very headache, and then we're taking very time consuming. So it has been 25 years. I do not know how long you want me to talk, and this is the beginning back in 95, and maybe some other people should check in to introduce themselves.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I think you touched upon no advertising, word of mouth. That's actually quite impressive that you haven't had to do much of that. That actually says a lot about your company. So thank you for doing what you do. And indeed, we'll go ahead and move on to Phoebe. Phoebe, can you tell us a little bit about your company and also how you got started?
Yeah, sure. So my company is called Ettitude. Ettitude stands for Eco Attitude. So we are a sustainable lifestyle brand offering home essentials that are soft on your skin and gentle on our planet. Using our proprietary clean bamboo fabric, our bedding, sleepwear, and bath ranges are as soft as silk, as breathable as linen, but at the price of cotton. So our customers are people who are looking for a better quality sleep, who are conscious about their wellness and also their impact on the environment. So the idea of Ettitude struck me while I was shopping for my new home back in Melbourne, Australia 6 years ago. So my dream bedding that is naturally luxurious, silky soft, affordable, and made from sustainable fabric did not exist at that time. While I already saw a lot of sustainable innovation going on in the fashion industry, I've noticed there's an opening to bring a more environment-friendly textile to the bedding industry. So, as a Chinese Australian, I was always drawn to the efficiency and versatility of bamboo. We have used bamboo for thousands of things for a couple thousand years. And I also have a decade of experience working in the textile supply chain management and the merchandising. I used to have my own trading company in Asia, was helping big international companies sourcing textile and homeware products in China. So I partner with a few big textile companies to spend years testing the materials, the weaving technique and the dyeing technique. So then finally and perfected and launched Ettitude in Australia 6 years ago. And today we are a team of 15 across 2 hemispheres. We have 8 people here in Los Angeles office and 7 people back in our original Melbourne, Australia office. And the most rewarding part of the business is to know that our product help many customers living a healthy life by sleeping better. I think it's also super relevant right now. People spend so much time at their home and they realize, oh, like I need good sleep, I need comfortable sleepwear to just make my working from home day better. Every week in our all hands meeting, our most fun activity is to pick a review of the week to read, and we are often amazed by how poetic and creative our customer can get when they are raving about our products. I think right now, so keep networking is super important. Of course, like I'm a member of the ABA, highly recommend it. I'm also a member of a lot of like Slack channels, like the Female Founder Collective, Women Tech Network, Women Who Start Up, E-commerce Leaders Australia. Also a lot of the physical membership, they are rolling out their digital or virtual programs like Soho House. So there's a lot of help and content out there for people who can get helpful. And talking about challenges along the years, I think the greatest challenger back in 2018 when we just launched in the US market is to keep our supply with demand. We know US is a huge market, but we didn't anticipate that quick growth. So it's like for half the year, like we just try to keep up our best sellers back in stock. And then in 2019 was about exploring new digital advertising channels. Of course, Google ads, Facebook ads are the usual ones, but we are also experimenting a lot of new ones like podcast, YouTube, so just more growth channels to help keep the business grow. And then today, the biggest challenge would be to working fully remotely and still keep growing fast. And because we're so lucky, we don't need to lay off any people, because but also we are not hiring before we have big plans, hiring more people, or we're not hiring, but we still grow very quick. So just or everyone have just do more with less, and also how to keep them happy and healthy and engaged by working remotely. But I think we have a bit leeway there because have 2 offices in Los Angeles and Melbourne. Our team are used to collab online remotely already for years. We daily use Slack, we use Zoom, Google Hangouts, like for 2-3 years already. So they are all fully trained and familiar with all those tools. I think one rule of thumb is like you get big improvements by being very patient with incremental improvements. As an entrepreneur, I want things done fast and I want big changes. So sometimes that means you have to take in baby steps toward increment improvements. And then those improvements do add up to big change over time. Like, do you know if you just grow 11% month over month, you will more than triple your revenue in just 12 months. So that's actually how we are able to grow 3 times every year, is to just every month, can we grow that 11%? It doesn't sound that daunting, right? But like 12 months, you're looking back, wow, you grow 3 times. I think the biggest pivot time for our business is really to decided to grow into the US market. Because that's just a 15 times bigger market just by population than Australia. So since then, we really get into that fast growing mode. And also went through an accelerator in New York in 2018. That's from June to October. They really train us well how to raise money, how to do digital marketing, also provide a great network. So again, I said a great professional networks is very important, especially for me. I moved from Australia to the US. I don't have existing long-term business type of networking here. So the accelerator provide a great network. And here now I'm moved to LA almost over a year. I'm still new, but as I said, I was actively trying to participate in the local business community to do networking, to really see how business can help each other. I think another lesson learned, maybe I'm going to learn another lesson learned during this crisis, is also to really look at your business, what are essentials. It's like during the lockdown, only essential business were allowed to open, but same as in a business, when in that crisis time, you will see, well, what are the essential activities? We do a lot of marketing and promotion, but some works better than the others. So then it really make you focus and to cut the things that aren't working. Might sounds good, might sounds fun, but is it actually working? So you really look at the numbers and to really only keep that activities that are really essential to the business, are really helping the business to grow, and cut or other the shiny objects. Yeah, so I think that's all I want to share today. Hope it's useful.
Yeah, it's very useful. And one thing you actually mentioned while you were speaking is sustainability. And I know that's something like even with Southern California Edison, we have a lot of investors globally. And one of the things they're asking more about is sustainability and what are our efforts involved with that. And supplier diversity happens to be one of those components that falls under that, as well as our workforce, the diversity of our workforce and what have you. And so I wanted to ask you if you can share a little bit about the importance of sustainability and why we should be embracing that as businesses. And then secondly, my second question, follow-up question to that would be, is the sustainability efforts the same around the globe as it is here in the United States, or is there maybe one place around the globe that's maybe it's that much more important? What has been your experience this far around the sustainability efforts and all that relates to that?
Sure. First, sustainability is the core of our business. From the name, Ettitude means eco attitude. From day one, I was decided that the business, this brand, would be for sustainable and ethical made products. I think I have that idea because when I moved to Melbourne, Australia, I would say Australia government and their local organization did a great job promoting a more sustainable lifestyle. Early 2000, when I was back in China in early 2000, like we didn't even know that there is a climate change crisis happening, or there's a lot of products are actually harming the environment. Now everyone knows, of course, China's government also doing things, but early 2000, I just don't have the knowledge. So I think moving to Australia really opened my eyes. And by working also as volunteers for a few sustainable organization, NGOs, also learned a lot. So really decide to, the new products I am developing would be to put sustainability at first, because as a consumer myself, I want that myself, right? But it also has to work. The quality has to work. The price has to be right. I don't think consumers need to sacrifice for living a more healthy, sustainable life, that they have to pay a premium or the products just kind of not work. Only buy it because it's green. I don't think that's going to work, or that will make it to be mainstream, actually have that impact. So I think it's really then up to entrepreneurs to come using innovative technology to solve that problem. So that's my thinking. That's why it's important to our business. And I think from the sustainable practice, I think a few of the European countries is doing that really well. Even early 2000 back in China, when they already start to ask their supply chain to be, using more sustainable material and they are willing to pay a bit more, and they have like, oh, you need to go through those gradations, like they will send QCs or ask you to send products to labs to really figure out what's in the product. I think many US companies and Australian companies are doing pretty well too. But definitely room for the government to step in more. I think right now it's at this scale, the government has to do more. If it's you just relied on the private sector, probably not enough. Cannot move the needle quickly enough.
Yeah, no, that's great information. I know even with Southern California Edison, we're encouraging a lot of the suppliers that we're working with to attend those sustainable type of conferences to educate themselves more on what's out there, what's coming up in the pipeline in regards to maybe safer material or what have you, to be able to do what we do in a more greener effort. So thank you for taking on that effort. It is not always the easiest space to operate in, but if you do it right, you can do very well. So thank you very much for sharing, Phoebe. And finally, Kit, could you please share a little bit about your company and also how you got started?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking at all the men in this panel, and everyone's well groomed. I'm curious where everyone's getting their haircuts. So yeah, a little bit about myself. Like you said, Michael, when you kind of described my background, Cal Poly graduate. I have a degree in civil engineering, and this was many years ago. Back then when I obtained my degree, I didn't know what I was going to do, right? Fortunate for me, I think back then there was a, I think it was called, there's a website where you upload all your resumes up online when I first created it. I think it was like monstersomething.com. Mm-hmm. And, this was in my senior year. I uploaded my resume, and somehow someone found me, and they were like, hey, Kit, there's a $1 billion subway project getting built in East LA, Los Angeles. And would you like to be part of that? So I was like, okay, East LA. I don't think I've ever, ventured there. In my before, so I drove there, and then before you know it, you see this huge construction site and all the earth moving equipment, and the rest is history. So been working in building subways, these metro subways with general contractors out here for the past 10 to 15 years now. So and I'll segue to Supplymates. By the way, this is kind of how I first started.
Sure.
So building subways for 15 years. It wasn't until and while working through working on these metro subway projects, you kind of get an understanding of the business side of things. Like how money gets federally funded and locally funded, state funded. Through taxpayers, obviously, to fund these metro projects. And then a certain percentage of these projects, they have to go to, small businesses, Spanish minority businesses, and so on and so forth, right? So it wasn't until, I started learning the business side of things where, I really, I would say that's when the motivation truly started. And the tipping point was when I saw this movie called War Dogs, and I'm sure everyone has seen that movie, right? These two guys get a federal contract where they supply these, like, the military with such and such widgets, and it just made sense for me, right? There was a market for small businesses like ourselves to work on these super competitive, fairly funded projects where we have an opportunity and carve our piece of the pie against the other large Fortune 500 contractors or suppliers, right? So, and it was in these projects when, when I noticed that, we just buy office supplies from Staples or Office Depot because, they're what everyone knows, right? When you think of Staples and Office Depot at the time, you just automatically assume that they save, everyone money. But we realized that wasn't the case. So that's kind of how we started. Was there was an opportunity to start an office supply, providing contractors, designers, and also the state with very competitive pricing on office supplies. And at the same time, so this Supplymates, we started this 5 years ago. So say somewhere, say 2015, 2016, and it's been going ever since, right? So and then we also have our construction company called KP Constructors. Similar concept, but that's construction. But in this video conference here, I could focus more on Supplymates, the office supply company.
Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. And I think you touched upon something that was important during the beginning of your career. You mentioned that the opportunity found you. And I think it's always good and important that business owners know to create your brand, who you are, especially now in the social media age when you're going out there and actually sharing with everybody who you are, what makes up you, what makes up your business. And you never know what kind of opportunities will come to you rather than you having to look for them. So I think that's really important. I'm glad you touched upon that. And then also that kind of touches upon or piggybacks on your network. So the stronger network you have, the more opportunities are going to come across your plate as well. Anything else you wanted to share in regards to maybe branding, networking that will kind of demonstrate that that is indeed very important to have?
Yeah, in terms of network, so we do a lot of business development online. A lot of our customers, it's a little different because we're pretty diversified in terms of customers. Half of our customers are private businesses where we'll do business development, but then the other half is the agencies, the state and federal agencies, where there's only so much you could do before there's that fine line, right? That you tiptoe. You just can't buy someone flowers to office secretary, right? Because then that would be some type of form of appearance of impropriety. But I think it's just the quick response times, right? That we provide in terms of customer service, responding to the customers, and them getting a sense that we're right there with them. If they have a question, then we're going to respond right away. And if we don't know, then we still respond and saying that, hey, we'll find out for you. I think that helps build our customer base and our network. Also, we've been able to just get smart, attending, there's a lot of these, what do you want to call it, coordination meetings, banquets, and career kind of development and vendor meetings that the states and local agencies hold. And that's kind of how I met Dennis, and the ABA Association was several years ago. I went to one of these mixers, and that's how I met Dennis. So attending these, do help. At the same time, you got to realize these people are also, the people that work in the booths are also overwhelmed by so many people that they, see and meet. And but just being smart about it, we were able to find a list of all the state agencies that that need these office supplies, and we were able to reach out to them individually, one by one, to just earn their business.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of in terms of what's really working for us and how we're able to sustain our momentum. I think it's finding so I don't 100% own the company. I have a business partner. I'm 50-50 with this business partner, but finding someone that having a good team, right? Having a good business partner, if you're a co-owner, really helps, right? I can't stress that enough. Finding a really good business partner and developing a good team, a good foundation to help you grow this business. I tell people all the time, having a business is like having a kid, right? A little baby. You gotta feed it, you gotta nurture it, you gotta spend time and take care of it, or else you feed it too much, it grows up too quick, and that's when it could collapse upon yourself. But if you grow it slowly, like Phoebe was saying, 11% growth every month she's doing, then your cash flow's there, and everything becomes sustainable, right? So one of the most rewarding things for us now is we started the Supplymates company. We started with absolutely nothing from the ground up, right? Now we're able to have a healthy backlog. of customers, and also having liquid, being liquid, and most importantly, being able to pay our employees on a monthly basis, even during this pandemic. I think that's very helpful, and that's rewarding to me, is just being able to take care of our team and our employees. So we haven't had to lay off anyone during this pandemic. So yeah, and also the stimulus also helps too, right?
Sure, absolutely.
the PPP.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, it sounds like
yeah.
you've certainly demonstrated that you have a good reputation with not only your clients, but internally within your own company. And I think that's fantastic and awesome, because that's only going to lead to great things. And it sounds like it has with you. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Stephen, it's certainly important to share best practices, I think, and especially during these turbulent times. What would you say is working for you in your business during this pandemic?
Well, again, thanks to PPP, we'll be able to pay our employees, and certainly the volume, because our type of business, our volume is a lot lower than what usual gauge. But since we are supplier for the hospital and banks, they're still working, so-called essential services. We're still getting orders, and but at least we'll be able to fulfill those orders and able to work and deliver. And some other businesses, certainly they're kind of like in the pause. And actually, starting from this week, we start seeing restaurants and people coming back and start ordering something. And then certainly we turn ourselves a little bit. We turn around and provide some unique products, just especially for them. For example, those 6 feet on the floor decal. So, those are things that before nobody wants to buy it, and now, that's our part, and we try to provide those services and certainly make a few dollars in between. But it's tough for everybody, and it's great that for both the other speakers, they do a lot of online business. We're more of a traditional manufacturing products servicing. I think with this pandemic and in the future, it's going to change. A lot of things are going to change. I mean, certainly printing is changing. So we need to find a way to see how we're going to do things efficiently and change our business model a little bit, and maybe venture out providing different type of products to people. Luckily, I think for people that want to go into business, there's a couple things. First of all, we can hear from the other two speakers' experience. Experience is very important. Especially when you're young, it's better to work for somebody that learning experience without paying for it of your own pocket. And we start our own business ourselves, and on the way we're facing some challenges, and we have to come out from our own pockets. But if you be able to have a chance to go into the bigger settings, understand the business model and how to do it, that would be great. When you have a few years, you have experience, you have the network, and you have the know-how, you have the supply and the customer base, you got to understand a little bit more. You do it, it's much easier for you, and then you can go bigger. That was my shortcoming. When I first started, we, at the time we just said, hey, go into business, right? That was like 25, 30 years ago. The other thing is that do whatever you like. Don't go in there just for the money. Money. I mean, when one of these days you're gonna go, money is gonna follow you. So money, there's enough. That's good enough. But do something that you like. As I mentioned, I started with banking. That wasn't really my thing. So I go into it. And persistence. And I think you want to do something, you want to spend enough time in terms of, you don't want to try so many different things, try and error, and maybe, you work 3 months more, you hit your jackpot. So just don't do a few months here and a few months there and don't have, just like your financial credits, right? You got to have enough time to put into it. So I haven't mentioned about, how we started, how we give back to community. There's another thing. I started, as I said, very simply, we started 95 in this location. 96, I joined Chamber of Commerce with very simple idea saying, I'm going to sell my product where I can go. So I joined the Chamber of Commerce. And then from there, I joined the Rotary Club and YMCA local community. But then people saying, oh, you Asian people come here, or Chinese immigrants, you come here just taking advantage and making money and do whatever, not giving back. I said, you know what? That's not true. We're giving back. This is our community. So I joined Rotary Club. I joined on the board of YMCA. So as a part of a giving back, and certainly later on went into helping the community and serving on the city council for 12 years. But nevertheless, again, that goes to money is not everything. You make money. What's the money for? Money is for giving back to the community and give to those people that help, especially for Asian Americans. We're in the minority internal population, and I was the president of the National League of Cities API caucus, as well as later on the California API caucus. What we're trying to do is to voice our side of the story, our side of the voice, our side of the concern. So, ABA certainly is a leading organization here and representing our Asian American communities, business that doing legislative works and others, helping us to make us to be part of the community, to be part of the country. So when you're doing business, you certainly want to make sure you are successful. And once you get your feet standing, think about giving back. And that's the meaning of life. I mean, making money is just part of it, Giving back and seeing the rewards is more. So do something you like, spend enough time, you get results, and then give back.
That's fantastic. I think there was some nuggets of information I got from that. One of them was the importance of being able to pivot. You mentioned that you went from your regular, what you're used to printing the decals on the floor. So businesses understanding the importance of pivoting when the need arises to do so, and being open and having an open mind to do so. Another thing you mentioned was experience. And one of the things that I always recommend suppliers to do too, that are looking maybe do business with some of the big corporations or organizations, is explore those subcontractor roles, maybe under a large prime contractor. So you can get some experience there. You can start building some relationships with some of the folks within the large organization or corporation. And then you could come in and start bidding directly. So that's another way for firms that are newer to the industry to start exploring opportunities. And then one of the things you mentioned is don't sell the world. Don't come to me and say, I can do whatever you need, because that's probably not the case. And you're going to sell yourself short by doing that. You're going to say that you could do it. We're going to expect you to do it. And if you can't, we're not going to invite you back to play the game. So I think that was very important. I'm glad you mentioned that too. Persistence was another thing you mentioned. And I think it's ever so important that businesses have a business resiliency plan, so that when another pandemic or another circumstance like this comes up, you're ready. You're ready to actually explore how you need to pivot and what you need to do to keep your doors open. So I think that's very important, and something that I think there could be more courses of. Maybe Dennis, that's something that we talk about in regards to encouraging businesses and showing them how to build a good, solid business resiliency plan. And then last but not least, you talked about giving back. And I think that's huge. I myself do the same thing on my own personal time. Is if you are successful and you've achieved what you wanted to achieve, why not turn around and give it to that person that's in the spot that you used to be, to help them along their journey. So that's ever so important, especially during these times. So thank you very much for sharing that, Stephen. We are coming close to the end of our discussion. Before I turn it back to Dennis, I want to ask you all, each of you, and we'll start with you first, Phoebe, is 1 minute. What are some last tips or final advice you offer to those listening in today that may help them in their business venture, especially as it relates to COVID-19 and the impact it specifically had on the Asian business community. So we'll go with Phoebe, Stephen, and then Kit.
Cool. One tips often I like to share is like actively look for as much as advice you can get, but then also ignore most of it, because you are in that business, you know your business better than anyone else. So, and sometimes a lot of the advice are contradictive. I learned that during the accelerator, we have hundreds of mentors or super experienced, but sometimes they would come with 180-degree different kind of view on certain things. And, oh, gee, well, what am I going to do? Well, who I listen to? But so you need to really have, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, have your own judgment. Just using other people's advice to really just so that you don't have a blind spot. The advice is more helping you to see maybe something you didn't see, but you really need to actively do your own thinking and strategy and then really figure out what's the best for your business, especially now because of the pandemic, things changing, shifting so quick, and there's so much information out there. There's a overload of information and advice out there. So we really need to go through the weeds and pick out the good ones, what's suitable for your business, and apply it quickly, and then ignore the other noises.
Thank you. That's very good advice. I think it's like you mentioned, it's good to hear that advice. Doesn't mean you need to run out and take action on that advice, but at least you've considered it, you've heard it, and you've worked it into your ultimate plan. So very good advice, Phoebe. How about you, Stephen? Any last tip or advice you'd give?
Well, certainly, again, experience is very important. You talk to people. I do agree with Phoebe. It's like you're your own. You're in the business. You know your business. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in your business. So, but getting some advice from other people, just like options. Maybe you're smart enough. You think about 5 options, and then you talk to 10 people. They give you another 10 different ways. Maybe one of them is the one that actually works, and you use your experience and your judgment to pick the one that's suitable for you and go from there. But just by yourself, I mean, we're learning from everybody every single day. You make your own decision. Do not ignore other people's advice, but don't take their advice literally. So that's called advice. You use them as a reference rather than taking as an order. So talk to with ABA and other organizations, and talk with people that have been there. And a lot of times, again, search experience very, very, very important. We were young ones. When we first started, there's a lot of things that we don't know, or we never thought about it, and people could give you some ideas, and then you work on your own situation because nobody is in your shoes. You know exactly what you want. So you use their advice to make your own judgments.
I like that. Asking for options from your diverse network. And so once again, it plays into the importance of having a network, asking for advice, and then taking action from there. So like that. Thank you very much, Stephen. And how about you, Kit? And you may be on mute, Kit.
Apologize for that. I think all the two presenters brought up some really good points, and I'll just add on to that. But during this time, I think more importantly is if you own a business, just let's apply for that stimulus, right? The PPP, because that's it's forgiven, and I think that goes a long way with the helping small businesses. I'll add onto Stephen's point, perseverance, right? See things to the end, right? Just don't, if there's a roadblock or something's, preventing you from seeking whatever it is you're seeking, just see to it to the very end. And I'll give you an example, right? When we first started with Supplymates, no one wanted to give us the chance, right? With a small business and office supplies, everyone went to Office Depot and Staples. But, when we approached one of the city of Pasadena, the first thing they told us was, we currently have a contract with Office Depot, right? So you know, we perseverance, right? We didn't, you know, put our head down and you know, cry about it. You know, we decided to go to their council member meetings, right? And then through their council member meetings, we were able to identify that, hey, there's a contract on office supplies coming up with their city, and the city has to vote on it because it's, you know, public taxpayers' money. And through that, we were able to prevent just the talking points on how we could, you know, save the city money. And then the talking points kind of developed into discussions with the procurement and you know, council members. And then we were able to then show to them, you know, how we were able to save them money by providing them, you know, cost-effective pricing on these items. So long story short, right, you know, even if someone tells you no, just you know, follow it to the very end until it's, you know, on paper or you know, somewhere in writing, right? And then also, more importantly, last thing I want to add is contracts. When you're, you know, signing contracts or reading contracts, right, don't make any assumptions, right? If it doesn't spell out clearly, always ask for clarifications. You never want to make any assumptions that, you know, when you're signing any contracts, because it could very well come back and bite you at the end.
That's very true. And I love that you touched upon perseverance again. And it sounds like you actually came to your client with the solution. So you didn't give up, you persevered, you came to them and you said, this is what we can provide to you. This is the solution that we can help to give to you to solve your problem. So love that tidbit of information. And with that, I'd like to say thank you to all three of you for taking time out to share with us some of your challenges that your businesses have experienced, as well as some best practicing remedies that I think was very helpful for our audience to hear today. Your participation and very informative insights are certainly a great example of the solidarity that the Asian Pacific American Heritage Month is all about. Let's all continue to celebrate, support each other, not only this month, but every month. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Dennis to close us on out.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. And that's my hand clap. You can see it's here. It's here. I don't know where that's at. You can see me. A quick shout out to Donna Ruff. Donna Ruff calling in, one of our vice chair for the advisory council. Hey, Donna, thanks for joining our call. But really, again, I just want to thank everybody, Michael, starting from you, Stephen, Sham, Phoebe, Kit as well. Remarkable businesses. I think it shows that what we as entrepreneurs do and try to figure things out economically for ourselves and really better our community. Really want to thank you for that. And folks who are joining us as well, kind of late, if you like to touch upon or contact our speakers and everybody, please log on to our website. As long as you log in there, just punch in their name because they're all members. You punch in their names and you can contact them to continue that dialogue. I just want to leave one last thing, and before we kind of close this out, just a brief thing about our event that's coming up. Tomorrow we're doing a town hall with Betty Yee. Don't forget to join us there. Next month, two things happening. One of them is about legislation. There are things coming down the pipeline that we want to make you aware of because they will affect businesses in general, right? Not just Asian owned. So do stay tuned to do that. And a little bit after that, a few weeks after that, and Kid, you may want to know this, we're going to bring, we had a thing that we set up to do business with public agencies. So to how to do business with them. So we're going to have some folks to come on and talk to you about how to do that. You know, the big things at the airport right now that they're doing, they still need to continue to do it because of the Olympics and all the infrastructure work coming up. Construction is a hot field. So we want to let everybody know about that. Last thing, PPP, if you still need anything like that, please do contact us. We're very successful in helping and brokering some of our members to get some funding. But those of you who have the funding, their application is out on how to forgive those loans. If you need that form, please contact us as well, info@abala.org, just so you know what are the obligations, so your loan will be forgiven, which is very, very important. People think of the loan as, oh, I'll just get it for a 1% loan. Still cheap, big difference when it's forgiven. So be mindful of that. Again, it's 2:30. Our time is up. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to be on our call. And we'll see you in just maybe some of you tomorrow and some the week after. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Yep.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
now.
you. Thank you.